All right. Hello, everybody. We hope you are doing well. This is DFS Army's pre-lock show where we are here to answer your questions, talk through your concerns, but really just kind of talk to you all about our game plan for this slate. We'll get to as many questions as possible, but we'll also just kind of make sure we go position by position as well. Have the GOAT group here per usual. Razzle dazzle. Uh, I was laughing. What team is your hat today? I can't tell.
Just says S2N, one of our former. I can't think of a word right now. But yeah,
I thought it was like a NHL team I was just not familiar with. But Raz, man, how are you feeling about this slate today?
I'm feeling some way. I'm not really sure what way that is yet, but there is some feeling going on down below.
Heart's beating a little bit. Okay, nothing wrong with that. Burns, I feel like I know how you feel. You know, every slate's pretty much the same for you. Not much changes, but always happy to have you. Author of winning the $1 million game, the go-to guy when it comes to stats, numbers, and taking down GPPs. And then we have Tattoo, man, the myth, the legend, single entry GOAT, but also we can just talk to you about a little bit of everything these days because you've had some GPP wins here too. So happy to have y'all. Let's go ahead and see what the comments are saying. Good to have you, Cujo. Carlos said, good morning, gents. Let's fucking go. Thank you for all you do. Before the gummy hits, real, too real. Who's the single entry quarterback and what will be your pick for a large GPP? And then we'll get to running backs here soon. So let's start off with just single entry quarterbacks. That's the question that everyone needs to have answered because it really just lays out what you're doing on this slate. Raz, curious to get your thoughts on quarterbacks.
Man, it just feels like it's probably just has to be Jackson Dart or Mariota, and it feels gross because Dart's not running as much, and Mariota plays for a trash offense. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I mean, the smart person would just spend up for Stafford or Goff, but I think Stafford more than Goff.
Okay.
But I guess roundabout way, it's me getting to Jackson Dart probably.
Yeah.
There's some interesting differences between projection and props projections today at quarterback. There's some guys that props better than what their actual projection is, and those are guys that I want to target too.
Yeah, okay. I want to hear a little bit more about that, but we'll come back around to it. Burns, what about you? Single entry quarterbacks. Who are you looking at?
Yeah, I think I've landed on Jackson Dart today.
Yeah, agreed. Just kind of like right there in front of your face against this bad Commanders defense. Tattoo, are you seeing things differently?
No.
Yeah.
Even though I wouldn't hate Josh Allen.
Yeah. If you can afford and get there with Josh Allen, hard to go wrong there, but I'm with y'all too. I think it really is Dart for single entries, and that's what most builds will look like today. But you can definitely get different. Like literally almost anybody else will be getting different. I don't hate Lamar Jackson there either. But
later.
Oh, okay. Raz, you were talking about some differences in prop projections versus like the normal average projections. What differences were you seeing? Like what quarterbacks were popping for you for GPPs?
I mean, well, Dart's actually one of them. It's slightly better for his prop projection. Lamar Jackson, who you brought up, was one that I was going to point out where like everybody's kind of just off of him because he's overall looked like trash. Looked a little bit better recently, but still, I was kind of shocked to see that his prop numbers were better than his regular projection. And when I see things like that, I want to jump on them. Mariota is actually one of them too, where his props are stronger than his regular projection. Jalen Hurts, another guy that I don't think anybody's going to be talking about at all, that I think might be in a get right spot somewhat. I don't know what to refer to it as, but even Josh Allen, his props higher than his regular projection, which is weird to say because, I mean, these are expensive guys, so it's tougher to get to that projection number. And generally, those are the guys that we see their props projection a bit lower than their regular one, just because. So it's really those guys. Trying to think, one that stood out the other way, like there are a couple of them, Brock Purdy and Joe Burrow. Strong differences between their regular and props in a negative way. So that's something that I got to think about with Burrow. Like it's 1.5 difference, which is a pretty big jump when we're looking at the differences from the other quarterbacks.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with a lot of what you're saying. I am still playing Burrow and Purdy, but they do make me a little nervous. So I hear you there. Burns, what about you? Like any GPP quarterbacks really standing out for you for your large field tournaments?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much Raz listed off a good number of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stafford, he's looking pretty decent today. So at the MME runs, I'll be running him and Jackson Dart. I'm mixing in Jared Goff today. Mariota will be a part of it. I hand built with Stroud today. Hand built with Trevor Lawrence as well. And when I hand build them, I don't include them in my runs. And I'm probably going to hand build a couple lineups with Jalen Hurts. Just haven't done it yet. Yeah, I'm really trying to stick to a really narrow pool at QB, and I have 6 guys that I'm running. Pretty straight. Lamar Jackson's one of them. So, yeah, I mean, that's where I'm going to get to.
Nice. Chucksenhausen said, and I appreciate the super chat, man. Appreciate it. Said, given the Niners get sliced in the slot, could Shamir DK be having his coming out party? No pun intended. In San Francisco today. Tattoo, did you consider DK at all?
Yeah, actually I did. I really like him, and he was in my first hand build.
Nice. What about you, Raz? Do you think about DK?
Yes, and didn't he already have a big coming out game already this year?
Maybe it's his second time, his second coming out.
Yeah, I like DK. There's just a little bit more rapport between he and Cam Ward right now, at least from a connection standpoint. Io Manor just like gets some targets, but he's just not catching balls. Plus, DK can pick up that punt return touchdown too. Just a dangerous return man as well. So I'm of the ilk to play a lot of DK.
Nice. Morning, Isha, JP, you are right. Helmets up. Let's take the competition down this week. And if you want to be a DFS Army member, if you want to have access to the props projections based off of props, click the link in the description. Use promo code RAZ or Razzle for a 10% discount. And yeah, like let's make it happen. And you can also ask plenty of questions in the Discord if we're not able to get to your question on today's show. Mr. Andy said, looking for a couple of mid-range GPP receivers. There's not enough money left over for the top receivers today. Yeah, we don't have a ton of value, so that's just the way things are looking. Burns, what mid-range receivers are really helping you make lineups this week?
There's a lot, so it's really difficult to actually go through them all. If you really want them, just go to my cheat sheets. They're there. I have a significant list of wide receivers on the cheat sheets today. Ones that just stand out. You got Nico Collins. He stands out today in the 6,700 range. You got guys like AJ Brown, who's probably not going to get a lot of ownership. Devonta Smith, Terry McLaurin, Tet McMillan, Stephon Diggs. I mean, the list goes on and on. But I think a guy that's probably going to go under owned today, he has a better matchup than Terry McLaurin is Deebo Samuel.
Ooh, that's a little spicy. I haven't heard that name a lot this week. All right. So just a better matchup, a little bit cheaper too. You can never be mad about that. And lower ownership. Raz, do you think about Deebo at all?
I haven't really thought much about him. maybe I'll get there. I think most of my Mariota lineups is going to end up naked. I like McLaurin quite a bit too, but I think that's like the default guy. So rather than me changing the ownership and going with Debo, I think I'm just going to go Mariota naked to be more different or a little bit more different. But yeah, that question is talking about not enough money to spend up by wide receivers. Then you're just going to be completely different from the field because the field is spending up at wide receiver. Like, because we have all those high price wide receivers are all drawing, it's St. Brown at just under 15%, but like the highest owned guys are those expensive ones. So it's definitely a unique route, but it's a dangerous route because those high end wide receivers on this slate can drop 40s and end your day quickly.
Real. All right, Tattoo, I did not forget about you. What GPP quarterbacks are on your radar this week?
I'm going to jump back over to quarterback. GPP, like I said, Josh Allen, 2% ownership. I'm going to have some of him. Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy. Actually, going to have some Drake May. Burrow. And Shador Sanders.
Oh, I like how you whispered that one in there a little bit, but I hear you. Taking a shot on a 0.49% owned guy. I don't hate it. Another low-owned guy down here in the cheap zone is apparently a Mizzou legend and Brady Cook. Won a ton of NCAA DFS slates. Raz, did you think about Cook at all?
No, and I don't ever plan on thinking about Brady Cook.
Me either. Burns, did you get there?
To who?
Brady Cook. Brady Cook, the Jets QB.
Why would you ever play him?
Fair, very valid. So it seems like no one's really on him, but Tattoo's taking a shot on Sanders. I think that's pretty solid coverage of what we're doing here at the quarterback position. I think we're all pretty aligned outside of a couple flyers on some low-owned guys. Next up, we have what chalk are we eating from Robert, and what chalk are we staying away from in single entry? That's a pretty broad question, so I'll kind of let you take it wherever you want to. But Burns, in your single entry lineups, do you have chalk you love or chalk that you're trying to stay away from?
Well, it just depends on your build. If you're wanting to go with the high WRs, the high salary WRs, I mean, you're going to have to eat chalk there. It's just inevitable. Chalk's forming up above. They're in great spots. Puka and Jamar Chase are going to be the most owned of the four. So they make a lot of sense in single entry. Basically, the higher in the dollar amount you get in single entries, the more chalk you kind of want to eat. And you want to stay level with the field, because if you're not and you want to get like a super low owned lineup, I mean, it can work every now and again, but in reality, it's a failing proposition for you. So most single entry lineups will have Puka and Jamar Chase in them. The ones that are going to be interesting are the ones that actually include CMC today. And if you don't include CMC, then your lineups are probably going to have a higher dollar quarterback in them versus a quarterback in the fives. So it ultimately depends on how you want to build your lineups. If you want to build your lineups with three guys that are in excess of 8K, then you're going to have to take you're going to have to go with a 5K salaried quarterback in their 5K range. So yeah, higher dollar entry single entries, that's pretty much how they play. They play with 5K quarterbacks and they get what they get, and then they look for the really high dollar WRs and running backs to offset it.
Got it. Raz, are you seeing things the same way? Do you feel different about this?
Pretty close to the same way. I mean, for me, I'm, if I go position by position more, like I'm not going to list guys at every position, but that's kind of the way I'm looking at chalk. So like seeing AJ Barner at double-digit ownership or Theo Johnson are guys that I don't really want to have double-digit ownership of. So like they'd be guys that I'd want to fade in single entry. The CMC thing is going to be interesting. Back issues, kind of like I wrote it up for the afternoon slate today. It's probably San Francisco just following correct protocol, because teams have gotten in some deep trouble for not disclosing something that popped up at the end of the week. But in what should be somewhat of a blowout, I am very tempted to completely fade CMC, and he's the highest owned running back right now. So I feel like that's kind of where I would look to fade. And then Kenneth Walker as the sixth highest, that seems pretty chalky. So that's somebody I'm not playing in single entry at all. Genty, double-digit ownership, I don't know. Other than that, like the wide receivers all seem okay. It's really the CMC, Kenneth Walker types, and then, the higher owned tight ends that feel super volatile that are somewhat easy to fade when you think about it.
Yeah, pivoting off of chalk tight ends, I don't think is ever a bad strategy. I'm with you on the Kenneth Walker. Tattoo, I'm curious. CMC fade. How do you feel about that?
I think Rez helped talk me into it. I hadn't really even thought about it, but now I'm thinking, I'm on board with that.
Burns, can you take us to the promised land here? Are we really doing this?
No, I'm not fading him.
Okay.
He's just too valuable. And the stacks with him and
Purdy?
Kittle today are so nice. I think Kittle is the guy he's not really going overlooked with the sharps in the industry, but he is going overlooked by everyone else. And that's where Kittle will make you a lot of money. So everybody wants all the top price wide receivers, and then they're going really low salaried on the tight ends today. And Kittle is a guy, I think he outscores Trey McBride today. I think he outscores Brock Bowers as well. I just really think that this is a Kittle day today. He's at home. I like him a bit today. He's probably going to be my highest owned tight end today, and so I have a lot of high owned guys. He's probably going to be the highest of my tight ends.
Got it. Nice. Bobby, appreciate you. Randy, Tijuana, praying for you, man. Praying for you. Brutus, you live for us, but you called us out last week. You said we all look like shit, but still love you, Brutus. Appreciate you, man. Let's see. What are some afternoon locks that you like? Raz, I know you work on that sheet for us. Who in the afternoon slate was standing out for you when you were writing that up?
It's so tough because like that slate has the number one game of the day, with some other not so great ones.
Yeah.
So I guess for me, it's probably got to be Stafford. Or if you want to be the slightly different, it'd be Purdy, even though I just mentioned how I don't love CMC because of everything. I do love the Purdy to Kittle angle. So, it's there. I'm unfortunately going to be super heavy on like Devin Neal because of the expensive wide receivers in the Rams-Lions games. So that's kind of forcing you onto like the Devin Neal, forcing you to maybe gamble with like Charbonnet. Like I feel like Seattle probably spanks Indy at home. which they've been doing. And in those games, like Darnold hasn't had to throw much. Like JSN can still get his to a degree, but then like they just kind of coast to the end. And Walker and Charbonnet get double-digit carries. So Charbonnet getting 2 touchdowns would not shock me. Like I'd rather play him than like Corum, even though Corum's getting double-digit touches now too. But the Lions' run defense has been elite.
Yeah. All right. Asia said, or Asian now. That's pretty good. I like that. Said, would you rather play McLaurin or Wan'Dale Robinson? Tattoo, what are your thoughts on McLaurin versus Wan'Dale?
Probably Wan'Dale.
Okay. What about you, Burns? Who do you like here?
I'm more on the McLaurin side of things, though I will see if Wan'Dale makes it. He's in my player pool, so I'll see if he makes it into lineups. But more likely than not, I'm more tempted to have more McLaurin exposure than Wan'Dale. And they're close. I just looked. I just reran it. So they're within 8%. So McLaurin on the plus side of that 8%. So,
yeah. And I haven't done my final run yet, but they're both literally showing up in 15% of my lineups. But I would lean McLaurin too. Let's see. I can't seem to get away from Purdy. In the matchup, we just saw Sanders exploding. I mean, that's not crazy. Raz, I know you've already touched on Purdy. It seems like you're a little nervous about him. Do you have any additional things you'd like to add on Purdy?
I mean, I'm nervous just because he hasn't looked good since returning for the most part. I mean, he did have that 3-touchdown game right away, but he still only put up 19 fantasy points in a 3-touchdown game. So just in general, like that passing offense just hasn't looked as good with him as it actually did with Mac Jones for some odd reason. But I do think it is a very get-right spot for that passing game, and that's kind of driving my stance a little bit more. Like, if I thought Purdy was going to be absolute trash, then I don't think I could fade CMC. I think I'd have to even mix in some Brian Robinson Jr. if I felt like, they'd have to run the ball 40 times. But I think a Purdy wake-up makes sense. So
nice. I like Burrow as well. Gary Gregg, let's touch on running backs a bit more, but we'll start off with your question. Ramondre Stevenson or Travion Henderson? Burns, I know you already have an opinion on this, so curious to see how you're feeling about things at this point.
it's honestly just a ownership play for me in MME runs. I will not be anywhere near these two guys. But I'm on one side versus the other. I'm more on Travion Henderson than I am on Ramondre. I don't even have Ramondre in my player pool. Travion Henderson is in my player pool, and it's just about him just being, it's a coverage play for me more than anything else in this range of salary. I think he's a guy that could break out a little bit here. He could have some run today. I will only have about 5% of him, so that is minimal coverage. It's nothing special. But in MME runs, I think he's viable today. It's an okay matchup. It's nothing special. But yeah, from there, that would be my only take on that. It's just coverage, and I just want to have a super sneaky play that if he pops, and he can pop, we've seen it, then maybe that lineup does well.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm right where you are. The explosiveness is there. We just need the coaches to realize that. Let's see. Dan said Mahomes with the Chiefs on the ropes. I can see him running more, making plays, stacking with Rice. All right, man. Hope that goes well for you. Arishi said, gonna be at the Panthers game here in New Orleans. Excited to watch Bryce do his thing. Man, we might be in for some disappointment tonight. Just be ready. Be ready. But I hope he comes through for us. How would you rank the top 4 receivers? Puka, JSN, Chase, and Amon-Ra. Tattoo, I'll throw this to you, man. How are you going to rank the top receivers?
JSN, Chase, Puka, ASB.
Okay. What about you, Raz? How would you do it?
I think I'm going to flip flop and put Chase at the top based on just the way that I see the games going, with JSN second because of what I feel like is just turns into a blowout and that offense shuts down in the second half. And then, Puka and then ASB. I mean, Puka just needs more consistent touchdowns. And then if he did have it, then he'd probably just be number one.
Andrew, I think the answer you'll get from most people these days is just to focus on the total. And if the total falls, you stay away from it. I almost always mention weather because when I don't, that's when it seems to actually impact things. But as long as I talk about it, it's usually fine. But it's really just watching the total. And as long as the total stays strong, it's usually still fine. And wind always worries me a bit more than it just being cold. Let's see. Running backs. All right. The running back position is one where we've already talked about potentially fading the top high-end guy who's very chalky on this slate. Raz, I'm curious, how are you looking at running backs if you're taking some pretty strong fades?
Yeah, taking some strong fades, but then also I'm eating chalk on weaker guys, so that worries me, right? Like if I'm going to fade CMC, but then I'm going to play the chalky Woody Marks, or I mean, I think Devin Neal probably ends up higher owned than 8.7%. So that combination of Marks and Neal are going to be super popular with guys that want to play two expensive wide receivers, right? So I'm worried there because that's kind of the route I'm going. I want to play some Gibbs, but I'm a little worried. Matchup isn't ideal for Gibbs, but Barkley's higher owned than I thought he was going to be. He was somebody I was going to be on, and then I realized his props projection is 3 points lower than his actual projection. So that scares the crap out of me. So I don't know, most of the guys that I'm playing are still double-digit ownership. So I am still kind of eating chalky-ish running backs, which, again, scares me. A couple of the one lower guy that I am definitely going to be super heavy on is going to be Chase Brown.
Yeah. I'm with you on that, man. What's your
targets in the pass? Targets in the passing game, especially without Higgins. I'm going to go there. You would expect the Ravens to focus on Jamar Chase, and no matter how many times we want this to happen or people beg for it to happen, Yoshivas is not putting up WR2 numbers basically ever. So the second best guy is going to be Chase Brown, I think, in the passing game. Gesicki's getting some talk, but the Ravens are decent against tight ends. So I like Chase Brown a ton on this slate.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Larry Barbie, who is DK? Shamir DK, am I pronouncing that correctly? He's a receiver for the Titans, 4,300 on DK at least. So, yeah, he's the one we were talking about earlier. Burns, how are you thinking about the running back position?
Yeah, I'm keeping it pretty the core of my players pretty tight. They're all in the cheat sheets, but a couple that I'll just go off of. Woody Marks, the spot here now without any Nick Chubb is pretty nice. He's going to get the whole backfield by himself, essentially. Derrick Henry's in a really good spot here. This is where basically I think this game could go. I think Derrick Henry could have a good game. He could have multiple touchdowns in this game. Just Cincinnati really hasn't done much against the running back situation. They're actually really good against the wide receivers. And this is why I'm not really going to be high on Zay Flowers this week. I think Cincinnati's really good against the WR1 and and then the WR2s and the WR3s are basically guys that kind of break out against Cincinnati. So Zay Flowers, I'm kind of off of. I'm kind of off of this whole passing game on the Baltimore side, though I'll have some. I'll have ownership in Lamar. I'm just playing it a little differently than a lot of people are going to play it. But I do like Henry. He has a really good path to success today. Other guys, Travis Etienne's in a really good spot at home, middling defense coming in. We've seen what the Jets do. They really don't do anything from a defensive perspective against the run. So he's good to have in your player pool. One guy that's I actually think this one play is probably going to be significantly underowned. And the problem, and it's a timeshare. It's probably the best timeshare because we're seeing reverse timeshare here. Okay. Rico Dowdle.
Yep.
So Rico Dowdle, his snap share has been plummeting since Chuba Hubbard has came in to play again. And Chuba Hubbard's snap share has skyrocketed. So Rico Dowdle came since week 11. Rico Dowdle had a high of 83% snap share. Chuba Hubbard was just coming back in week 11. He had 19%. Week 13 before their bye week, Rico Dowdle had 42% snap share. Chuba Hubbard had 59%. I think Chuba Hubbard goes above Rico Dowdle today, and I really think it's not even close. I think it's a 60-40 split again, if not more, 65-35 split. I think Chuba Hubbard he could win people a lot of money today if he hits.
Yeah.
Obviously, he can fail. I mean, everyone in this player pool of players today can fail. Not one of them cannot fail.
Yeah.
So Chuba Hubbard at 4,600 is the most viable under 5K running back there is on the slate. And I'll have a lot of them because I'm hoping for the fact that he could pop. And in a Millie Maker, that's what I'm looking for, being over on a guy that no one is even in their remotely sensible mind thinking of this play.
Yeah.
And that's usually what wins. So we saw it last week with Tony Pollard. Who in their right mind was thinking of Tony Pollard against the Browns? Chuba Hubbard actually has a way better matchup than Pollard had last week. And the splits on the snap shares, I was thinking about it. I was like, who's the best play? I mean, I was thinking Carolina has a really good matchup today, again in the run game. And so I was thinking Rico Dowdle at the beginning of the week, and then I started really looking into the snap shares since Rico Dowdle and Chuba have been sharing again. And it's like this. It goes.
Yeah. I mentioned Chuba on Tactics on Friday. I love the play. And he's cheap too, 4,600 and relatively low owned. Metro, I get it, man. I get it. I don't see you said I'm out on the Panthers receiver or running backs. It's been scary. Panthers in general are not a team you can really trust too much, but at low ownership, it's worth a dart throw. It's not a guarantee, but like Burns mentioned, things are trending in the right direction here. It's worth taking a shot, at least in my opinion. And let's see. There's some interesting comments in the chat that keep distracting me, but we'll stay focused. Tattoo, running backs. Who's standing out for you?
Excuse me. Really like Woody Marks. Etienne.
Yeah,
is one of my top. Henry, Chase Brown, and Henderson are my favorites.
Travion, all right. You're Burns too on that call. All right, owned, love it.
I have a question. One more running back that I forgot about is Devin Singletary. Scoring touchdowns. Dart's not running as much. Like the touchdown upside inside the 10, and I think Singletary's actually looked better than Tyrone Tracy has recently. So nobody's going to look at Singletary because everybody's playing Dart, and nobody wants to play Dart and Singletary together. So Singletary is one I'm making sure that I get, 7 to 8% of in my run.
I wasn't getting to Singletary, but I liked the matchup for the running backs, but I just didn't have a lean. I will follow you on that. I like that. What was your question, Burns?
Yeah, my question is with Chase Brown at 6,700, and the fact that Samaje Perine's snap share is significantly going up. I mean, he went up from week 13 to week 14, 12% snap share, and we saw the reduction to Chase Brown subsequently because of it. He's at 6,700, and he's propping out way lower than guys like RJ Harvey. I mean, he's propping lower by a point and a half, and he's $1,000 more, or 700 more. It just, I don't know. It's not something that I feel like I need to go there. Chase Brown's just another guy to me right now, because of Samaje Perine. And yeah, he can go off, obviously. And I get it, the targets are there, but I don't know. I don't know if I need to go there today with him. I just think he's just another guy.
Raz,
does that change how you feel on Chase at all, or?
I mean, unfortunately, not really. I think some of the Perine numbers are going to be a little skewed from 2 weeks ago. Like his touches dropped more than in half last week too. So, last week in a higher scoring game with Buffalo, I mean, I think Chase Brown just fits that a little bit more. So I'm not too concerned. We have a lot of teams that have shifted a little bit more to the two running backs as the season has gone on too. It's a health thing, all that sort of thing. I've been in the camp in the past where like there's some guys that I think benefit from getting some of those snaps off. Tony Pollard got paid by Tennessee because of how Dallas used him. So I think Chase Brown's completely fine. I just think that a lot of people are overlooking the spot when we think that, like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are going to be throwing the ball a ton or whatever. Like, I think Chase Brown's just going to catch, 5-6 balls with, upside to, like, I think, what has he had? 7, 8, 9 targets? Or he had 14 targets in week 9. So, he's 7+ targets in 3 out of the last 5 weeks. I'm just kind of playing that angle. But obviously there is the angle to be played where, okay, maybe Perine steals 45% of the snaps. If you can then nail the guy in that price range around Chase Brown that gets 90% of the touches from the running backs, you're in a better spot than what Chase Brown might be. Like, so I get that side of it too, but I just think Chase Brown personally fits a higher scoring game in this one if that's the way you're playing it. So
you need the touchdowns, but it's worth the 5-10. Wait, how much do I have? Let me double check. 10% exposure for me. And then we did get the news that Chris Rodriguez is out for Washington. Does that make you guys a little bit more interested in taking a shot on a guy like Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt? Bill? Raz, any thoughts here?
I'm really curious to see what the ownership update's going to be when it hits. Because I have a feeling that's going to jump up a lot because he was this Best Ball Bros darling late round pick that got a bunch of steam during this regular season. And it's on a slate where we want to spend a ton at wide receiver. So people probably are going to pivot some of their Devin Neal ownership down to then allow them to go from Nico Collins up to St. Brown or, up to JSN or whatever. So I'm really curious, and that now scares me. If his ownership number stays below 10%, then I'm probably going to be on it. if it jumps to the 18 to 22% range, like he's one that I feel pretty happy fading, just because like Chalk JCM has been really bad, and there were a couple weeks where he was very popular.
Yeah, early on. Feels like a lifetime ago. Tattoo, do you have any strong lanes on this, or are you considering Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt, or are you also just kind of waiting to see how things update?
I would probably rather play McNichols.
McNichols? Okay. Nice little spin on it. Do you think his role's going to change, or what's your thought process here?
Just, I don't really trust Bill, and if Bill is where everybody goes,
Yeah, Zag.
I'll just. But I probably, not going there in single entry.
Yeah. Oh, wait. I think I'm okay eating the chalk just because I've been picking on the Giants defense all year. So I'll just kind of stick with it, but we'll see how things change. Anything you want to add here, Burns, or are y'all okay moving to wide receiver?
Yeah, we can move on.
All right. Next up, we've already kind of talked about what this landscape looks like. There's a ton of super pricey receivers up top in the Amon-Ra and above range. They are all also super high owned, but we've also already mentioned there's a lot of very solid, strong plays in the 5 and 6K range too, who are not seeing as much ownership as the pricey guys. Tattoo, you just win. Might as well go back to you here. How are you viewing the wide receiver position? Who's standing out for you?
Let's see. Sorry, my computer just had to go haywire on me. As far as the top guys, I probably, I like JSN, Nico, Wandale, since, especially since we're playing Dart. I keep hearing about Tinsley, but I don't know much about him. But apparently he's, I know he's popping, and Geek has talked about him being the next, like, Michael Wilson.
I don't know if it'll be Michael Wilson good, but I get it.
But I like Chris Olave a little bit.
Okay.
Love Stephon Diggs today.
Is it that revenge narrative really driving that for you?
Yeah. I don't hate Jerry Jeudy since I'm using some Shador.
Sure, makes sense.
And I don't even know if I should mention. I have like a like on Mac Hollins.
Okay, just getting different with Bills wideout, right? Is he on the Bills still, or where is he?
No,
yeah,
he's on
Patriots now. Okay,
Yeah, Patriots now.
I get it.
Reverse, another revenge.
Oh, one more.
Mac Hollins has played on like half the league by now.
Yeah. Where hasn't he played? I don't even know. Burns, what about you? How are you viewing things here?
Up at the top range.
Yeah, just in general.
The wide receivers, just in general. Yeah. So generally in DFS, we tend to gravitate towards certain ways as the week goes along. And then that one side of things that you weren't really thinking of kind of takes over and wins weeks. And the middle wide receiving salary ranges are actually, there's a lot of really good values in here. And I like them a bit. Obviously the top range wide receivers are in very good spots. Metrically, and projection wise, they are really propping out well. So yeah, I don't mind that. But we've seen it just this year alone, where the whole field or a majority of the field, when we have really good wide receiver core like we do right now at the high end, well, it actually turned out to be the high end running back situation that week that actually popped. And it was the middling salary range of wide receivers that was the winning combination. So honestly, I think the dichotomy across the spectrum of wide receiver salaries, it's interesting. I really do like the 7K and below guys. I use 7K because I like AJB today a good bit today. And so, but I don't like anybody. I don't really like many receivers below 4,500. So, and I'm capping a lot of them because I just don't feel like they're that great of plays.
I mean, they typically aren't. So
yeah, and so that's why I am sticking in that 5 to 7 range a lot. I mean, I think it's a really good range. And I like the higher end running backs too. Like I like CMC today. I like Gibbs a little bit, I like Henry today. And so it's just an interesting way of that the slate's going to turn out. I mean, it could be the flip, right? It could actually be where all the high end wide receivers pop today, and then the lower salaried running backs are the thing. So it could be that way. I don't know. We'll find out at 7:00 tonight or 7:30 tonight, right?
Yeah. Do you have any favorites so far?
Yeah, I think the AJB is in a great spot from a coverage standpoint. I think Nico Collins has a good coverage matchup. Stephon Diggs in a revenge narrative, I guess. He has a really good coverage scheme as well. And then you got guys like Jacoby Myers who's probably he could excel today. I mean, the Jets are god awful, so this game could pop a little bit from that side of things. And then you got Washington against the Giants, where McLaurin or Debo could actually pop off. And then you got Juwan Jennings just sitting there and saying hi at 5,200. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, these are guys that if you put them all together, you have a really good lineup. I mean, you have good lineups. So, and then everybody below 5K kind of just meh. They're like, yeah. I don't know. I think the matchup for Alike Omayanor is a better matchup than DK. The DK guy, he doesn't fare well in disguised coverages. He doesn't fare well against zone. He's going up against one of the heaviest zones that he's going to face this year, potentially, because it's about an 80% zone coverage. He doesn't do well. First read percentage on AO Menor is 36.7% in disguised coverages. Gunnar Helm, 2,800. He's the second best receiving option on Tennessee today because of it. So you got to play coverages. You got to understand coverages. You got to understand how these receivers, how they matriculate through coverages. Just because, he's 4,300 and he had targets, and he's been targeted before, that doesn't mean it's going to happen today. So every puzzle is different every single day that we play. So you have to piece the puzzle together as best as you possibly can. And there's significant number of ways to put it together. Yeah. I'm not going to be on DK. He's actually been axed out of my player pool. So
yeah, there you go. Nice. All right. I am with you on a lot of that. And someone mentioned that Rome is officially in. And yeah, that does ruin a lot of my love for the Bears receivers. So have to move on past that. I still don't hate DJ. I just wish he was cheaper, so I can't do it.
Their projections have gone down since
earlier too.
Wednesday. They've gone down significantly, like by a point and a half.
Yeah. So I have to move on. It was fun on Friday. Now we have to move past that. Raz, what about you? How are you seeing the wideout position this week?
I mean, spend up. Like some things have kind of popped, I guess, a little bit now. So there's two inactives in the Kansas City LA game that now have me kind of searching some things.
Okay.
McDuffie's out on one side for Kansas City, and then Quentin Johnson is inactive as well. So kind of digging into a little bit, I believe the Chiefs are really strong against the slot, and a lot of people automatically think that it's Keenan Allen. Ladd actually runs more slot routes than Keenan Allen. So now I have to debate Keenan Allen, but I'm also debating a $3,100 Trey Harris on the outside and a $4,300 not looked at Oronde Gadsden, who's flopped since he took off. Well, part of the reason he took off was when Quentin Johnson was hurt in the middle of the year, and now he gets kind of that downfield seam role all by himself. Obviously, that's tight end position, but it's still opening up some things in that passing game where I wasn't necessarily on the Chargers passing game all that much, but now like Keenan Allen might be somebody that's intriguing to me, which feels gross to say because he's been absolutely terrible since the first few weeks of the season.
Yeah.
I don't feel as great about the mid-range as Burns does, outside of like Wandale, Jameson Williams. But Jameson Williams getting chalkier. Like we've seen this route before where Jameson Williams chalk just does nothing in that offense. So that does worry me. I think I really like your guy, Tet McMillan.
You really like him. Okay.
I think I do. 6K. I think that's kind of the price range where I seem to end up with my last wide receiver spot in some of these hand builds as I move things around. Mm-hmm. So it becomes like he, Wandale, McLaurin. Well, he's the lowest owned of the three. So it's somebody to pivot off of that Wandale ownership that I actually expect to be higher than we're projecting just because Dart's popularity. Big on A.J. Brown as well, but that's going to put me then on some Devonta Smith too, just because like A.J. Brown can go back to doing nothing, and then it's Devonta that pops for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, yeah, I don't love that range. I've been high on Christian Watson since he got back, which is weird because I've disliked him for years now. But now he gets Surtain defense because like Surtain's not traveling to the slot. So maybe it's Jaden Reed. Like in his first game back on the very first drive, the Packers got him the ball like 3 times or 4 times. Like they want to get him the ball. The problem is like everybody's expected Reed to be this big volume guy, in the past, and he never did it on volume. He did it on efficiency with his touches. But with the banged up running game, with Jacobs hurt, Emmanuel Wilson's sick, like there's some questions there. I could see Jaden Reed touching the ball a few more times. So that's kind of a guy in the 4K range that I want to be overweight on.
Man, Raz, you just gave me a little bit more to think about. Just touching on some of those situations that don't have a lot of ownership, especially with like the Chargers and a few of those other just points were interesting. And I think you're right, especially with like the Ladd and the Gadsden call. Like, those are 2 plays I definitely want to boost some exposure to that I wasn't on previously. Good stuff. Let's look at the tight end spot. I know you love it, Burns. So I'll start with you. How are you viewing the tight end position this week?
I think the tight end position could win a lot of people tournaments. I've increased my exposure to tight ends in the flex this week. I think the range that you have between 5 to 3s and even into the 2s, you have really good options. You just got another one with Oronde Gadsden. So I think these are the guys like you need to be on. Oronde Gadsden now, after Raz talked about it, it's a pretty good spot. In the 4s, you got guys like Dalton Schultz who are in good spots. You got guys, you got, I guess, Mark Andrews, if you want to go there, Travis Kelce, you got Harold Fannin who popped last week. And then in the 3s, you got guys, or Brenton Strange is in the 4s this week. Usually he's in the 3s. He's in a decent spot from a matchup perspective. Then you got in the threes, you got guys like Gesicki, who's popping. I think he might have one of the top fantasy points per dollar at 295. And then, from there it goes down. I think Theo Johnson's a guy that, he's starting to get ownership. I like him a bit. I wish his ownership was half. It would have been fantastic because he can pop and he can pop quickly. Especially now that they don't have Jackson Dart running a lot. He's going to have to throw, and I think Theo Johnson makes sense there. And then below that, there are some really good plays. Evan Ingram is a viable play today. I think this is going to be how the Denver Broncos have to go about this game. They have to go with short passing situations, which takes out your Franklins and your Suttons and that be it. So I think Evan Ingram could have a decent day today. I don't know how much he's going to beat this prop projection, but at 3,100, it's not a bad spot to get some ownership on. And then at the 5K range, the guy that I think it's a Kittle day today. I think basically Kittle he has the most opportune or projection to showcase that he can actually pop off significantly. I mean, he's right up there with Trey McBride in prop projection, and Trey McBride's $2,000 more than him in salary, and I love Kittle way more than I like Trey McBride. Trey McBride won't even enter into lineups for me today. It's just not a good spot. This is really a bad spot for him today from a matchup perspective. But Kittle has one of the most idealistic matchups on the entire slate for tight ends, and I'll be way over the field on him.
Yeah, everyone's asking about Likely. What are your thoughts on him?
I'm off the Baltimore tight ends. I was on them earlier in the week. I'm off of them. I understand they have the vaunted 32 or 31 next to their name, and that's fine. That's awesome. But I've also seen tight ends fail in this situation. Plus, you got two of them, so take your pick. We talk about split shares with running backs. Well, you got split share with tight ends here. So I'm off of them from that perspective. There's other reasons why I'm off of them, and I've come off of them this morning. So, yeah, I'm really playing it close today. I'm real tight with the pool and stuff. So,
hey, all right.
Hopefully it hits. I don't know. We'll see.
Carlos, appreciate the super chat. Said, need to know your quarterback stack and a 10x single entry multiplier. That's what I focus on. Burns, I'll just go right back to you on this. What are your thoughts on a QB stack for a 10x tournament?
Yeah, these are pretty big in contests, like in size of entrance. I think 10x. I think they're upwards of 1,000 plus, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't play them. But if I had to go about doing this, I'd probably play. I'd probably have either Jackson Dart or Matt Stafford as my quarterback. Obviously, Stafford can be stacked one of two ways. You can stack him with Puka and Amon-Ra. You can stack him with Puka and Devontae Adams. You can stack him with Puka. Take your pick. And then Jackson Dart, I just run him out naked and call it a day.
So. Razzle, do you have any thoughts? Do you play 10Xs? I feel like you do.
I had been earlier in the year. Decent success at them. I've kind of faded away from them because I feel like I started putting in some wild hand builds in those, and I think that's a mistake. Yeah, I'm with Burns. Like Dart, I think I'm playing with Wandale just because he's not running. So, but yeah, Dart or Stafford makes the most sense. Mariota naked. Those three are kind of where I'm at. If I had to choose, like I'm limited lineups, those are the three guys that I'm trying to build around and go that route. I wanted to point out Baltimore tight ends. I'm on both. I'm playing a handful of lineups with both together with Lamar. just because it opens up so much from the wide receiver position in that double tight end, to where I could see, those two combining for 14 targets. And there's upside for, 3 touchdowns between the two.
Okay. Tattoo, tight ends. I feel like this is a position you've had a lot of success with here recently in particular. Who's standing out for you?
I guess the highest up would be Kittle. I like Tyler Warren maybe if Rivers is upright and he's just trying to get the ball out of his hands quick.
Yeah.
Low, I think Dalton Kincaid may be about my favorite tight end today. I guess Gadsden, but Dalton Schultz, I'll have some fanning simply because of the Sanders thing. Theo Johnson, maybe down to Gunner. I don't know if there's any, but I feel like there's another guy in that area, but that's probably close to it.
Yeah. Jules Burns mentioned Fannin, and Tattoo did just then as well. I think Fannon's kind of just the play everyone just knows is pretty solid at this point. Raz, how are you viewing this position?
Like I mentioned, I am on the Baltimore tight ends, both of them together in some builds. Gunnar Helm is going to be one of my favorite guys. Cheap enough, and there's just enough upside. Man, I want to be on Tyler Warren. I have some of his props in some stuff on Underdog. Just from a target standpoint, I think they're going to be pretty strong. But I don't know if he has a ton of upside just because I just don't expect Rivers to be able to do a whole lot. But yeah, Kittle for sure. Fannin, the reason we haven't really talked about him is I just skip over because it's the Browns, and every other show in this industry is going to be talking about him as the highest owned tight end. So, I like Kittle more. I want to get to McBride because he's arguably the best tight end in football.
Yeah.
And he's getting 2.5% ownership. We've seen that offense just throw the ball a ton. We don't expect it to be super competitive, but Trey McBride at 14 targets, there's a route for him to outscore those wide receivers at the higher end too. So, I want to play some McBride. I don't think you need to have 10%, but 2.5% projected ownership for the best tight end in football. I will gladly take my chances there.
Man, if today's a slate where I should have listened more to Raz, I'm gonna be like, come on, man, I gotta get better. I gotta wake up. But you've been on some low-owned guys today, man. And half of them I like, the other half I was like, dang, I haven't thought about that one yet. But all right, I hear you. Let's kind of wrap up. We're already a little bit over on time with defenses. Briefly and quickly, I think everyone knows there's just some smash spots that are pretty expensive in the 3,500 range. Burns, I know you already have this one locked and loaded. Who are you liking at the defense position?
I think if you stick to the home favorites today, you're going to be nice. You're going to be sitting pretty at the defense spot. I think the best one of them, there's 2 really good ones. Seattle and Jaguars are probably the 2 best. If you can't get to the Jaguars, Seattle is really a good play. Phillip Rivers was great. One point in time in his lifetime, he was a great quarterback. But we're talking about a guy. They showed him on NFL Network. I don't know if the guy has seen the weight room or a workout facility in about the last time he played. So I don't know. He may be fine. But Seattle they're a no joke defense. Texans are fine too. If you think like Jacoby Brissett's going to get shut down today and this offense is going to get shut down today, then Texans make for a really good play as well. I think the defense that's overlooked potentially is the Chiefs. They have a really good defense. They got pieces out, but they're home. They got the unders there. And then I think the Giants, we talked about it on Tournament Tactics. This is about as low salary range as I'm going to go today. And they have a path where they can actually get to high single digits. I don't think they get in the double digits. I just think they're going to be a middling single digit play today. So,
all right. Raz and Tattoo, I want to get your thoughts on defenses, but let's just go ahead and talk about like your favorite low-owned plays and then kind of wrap up with some of the defenses you like. Raz, you want to jump this one off?
Sure. At quarterback, it's got to be Cam Ward, right? I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Is it really?
No,
Okay.
I'm just not really wanting to get there. Tyler Shuck maybe, but I don't really want those cheap quarterbacks this week. Running back wise, I've already mentioned like Chase Brown. Definitely somebody I'm playing a ton of. Jonathan Taylor in a matchup that I hate, but when you have Jonathan Taylor at 2%, a guy that can score multiple touchdowns from 60 plus, being completely overlooked because we expect Seattle to just absolutely dominate, I have no problem like making sure that I get a chunk of exposure to him. And because he's 2%, I don't have to get a 20% chunk. So that's the one guy that like nobody's going to be talking about.
Yeah.
And it's still Jonathan Taylor. And I know he hasn't done it in a handful of weeks, but like he just randomly pops, especially at the end of seasons. He's done this multiple years in a row now, where the last few weeks of the season, he just absolutely explodes. So if he went for 150 and 2 touchdowns, I would not be shocked.
Who was that again, Raz? Sorry.
Jonathan Taylor.
Okay.
Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
Other cheap, low-owned guy, Devin Singletary, is who I mentioned earlier too. Just getting all the red zone carries kind of over Tracy, and with Dart not rushing, I think Singletary has multi-touchdown upside in a very soft matchup.
Yeah.
Wide receiver-wise, talked a bit about him. Jaden Reed, I think he's going to be relied on a little bit more for Green Bay. Devonta Smith, just because like people want to go to AJ Brown, based on recent matchups, and then a guy that we didn't really mention at all, but I've been thinking more about is Ricky Pearsall. This is more of a complete gut. Maybe he finally wakes up since coming back from being injured too. Like if we think Purdy finally wakes up, maybe Ricky Pearsall does. And nobody's going to want to play him at 5,100, especially when you can play Juwan Jennings for slightly more, play Kittle for around the same price in that game. So Pearsall is kind of that gut play for me, in a spot that I think they throw the ball more than we want to believe. Tight end, mentioned Gadsden, mainly because of the Quentin Johnson inactive news.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't going to be on my radar prior to that, but we've seen him show up when Quentin's been out previously. And Trey McBride, best tight end in football at 2.5% owned, just seems like a criminally low number, really.
Nice. Any defenses you like?
I just mostly what Burns said. I'm trying to force in a lot of Giants Commanders in that same game. Saints defense seems to be making a ton of my hand builds, just because they seem like the cheapest viable, really. And we kind of need that extra salary because of the expensive wide receivers.
Nice. All right. Tattoo, I'll go right back to you here with some of your favorite low-owned plays.
Excuse me. Quarterback, Hurts, Allen, and of course, Sanders. Running backs, Chase Brown, Travion Henderson. Wide receivers, Diggs, was probably my favorite, low owned. Tight end, what's it? I mean, it's what's his nuts that I can't think of right now. Dalton Kincaid.
There you go. Yeah, he is low.
I got it out. Defense, I'm right there. Seahawks, Texans, and Jaguars. I actually don't mind the Giants.
Okay.
If I'm going to punt.
Nice. All right. Burns, any low-owned plays you want to highlight?
Yeah, I mean, at quarterback, I think a low-owned play, you're looking at Jared Goff today. He's a viable low-owned play today at 4.19% in a game that could actually explode on both sides. Been on this game quite a bit all week long. At the running back spot, there are some really decent spots. We talked about a good number of them today. I touched on Chuba Hubbard today, and I touched on why I like him over Rico Dowdle today. Trev Henderson, touched on him. Then you got a guy like Ashton Genty, who's just hovering around the 10% range, going in against Philadelphia, who has a perceived top defense, but Carter is out in this one. And basically their defense is really good in the secondary. Their front four is taking a significant hit because of Carter today being out. At the wide receiver range, Juwan Jennings at 11, 12%. It's pretty low owned. I don't know if he stays there. Jacoby Myers is another one. He's at 10%. Deebo Samuel, I'm getting pretty good runs with him. He's in my player pool. And he's at 4.75%. And to be honest with you, I think he may be the play in this Washington game for the Washington side. That's kind of just how I'm playing it. But McLaurin's popping too. I got about a 7-8% variance between the two, where McLaurin's on the plus side of that variance. So I like them both. As we get lower down, I talked about AJB. He's popping for me metrically. So I had to actually boost him to get him to lineups. And then you got tight end range. I mean, you got a lot of good plays. And Dalton Schultz coming in at 5.3% ownership. You got Brenton Strange at 4.4, Evan Ingram at 3. These are all good plays. And then at the defense side, basically, you got a ton of really good plays, and the Seahawks they're looking like they're going to get the largest amount of ownership today. So, but they're all really good plays. So take your pick with those. And I really just like the home favorites today at the defensive spot. So,
yep. Burns, Carlos gave a little bit more context here. He said, I played the 33 entrant 10x multiplier. Where should I go as my base build? And should I build multiple lineups for my 6 entries? I know you don't play this tournament, so actually I'll go to Raz. Raz, what are your thoughts on this?
Yes, I'm building multiple lineups. I'm not, it's not a double up where you can just train your cash lineup, you're really just trying to hit one of them, or I guess 2 of them, but really ultimately in multipliers like that, you just want to get one of them home. So I'm not putting it all in one scenario. Base build, like I think you could really do for 6 entries. I really think you could do 2 entries a piece for Dart, Stafford, and Mariota, or like choose your third quarterback, but 2 Dart, 2 Stafford, and like you can do Stafford with Devonta in one and Stafford with Puka. You can do Dart naked, Dart with Wandale or whatever, and then your third quarterback. Like, you can. This gives you a chance to focus on your couple of games that you really like to build around. I don't see the need to go with like 6 unique quarterbacks because I don't love 6 quarterbacks enough in a small field multiplier like that. Like if it was 33,000 entrants, like then yeah, I'm going 6 unique quarterbacks and trying to get one home. But
yeah, nice. All right, well that's gonna be it today, guys. Appreciate you for checking in with us and sticking with us. Binkins, man, I saw this. If Bryce and Tech go off for you today, man, I will be pulling for your lineups. I couldn't do it. I guess my favorite low-owned play that wasn't mentioned is Darius Slayton. He's just not getting any ownership. He's just a dart throw type of guy that I think has some upside. But we'll be back next week. Wish you all luck tonight. If you have any more questions, reach out in the Army Discord. DFS Army. Link is in the description. Good luck today, y'all.